Now, Buba Galadima is a name that's well known in political circles in Nigeria. He's been in virtually all the main parties and has been close professionally, if not personally, to all the top political players in the last few decades. Through most of it, he's been seen by some as a tireless campaigner for good governance, a politician whose style and politics are very direct, hitting you right between the eyes. But for the others, he's a sort of agent provocateur, a stirrer of ethnic sentiments, speaking constantly about the implications of the rising anger and alienation amongst ordinary Nigerians, especially since he threw his weight behind the 2023 NNPP presidential candidate Rabiu Kwankwaso. Mr. Galadima is, of course, better known for his staunch support for many years of President Buhari, before he made what some say was an impetuous decision to leave Mr. Buhari and become an ally of the opposing PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar, whom he subsequently left for the camp of the NNPP's Rabiu Kwankwaso, or at least that's where he was the last time we spoke. So with that kind of backdrop, what does he make of what's going on in Nigeria today? From 25 years of unbroken democracy to 1 year of President Tinubu in office, as well as the leadership tussle of emirs in Kano, which is the NNPP's political stronghold. Well, for his assessment of all this, I'm suitably delighted to say that I'm joined now in the studio by the farmer, politician, NNPP chieftain, and member of the party's Board of Trustees, Buba Galadima. Thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, Mr. Charles, for once again having me on this very auspicious program.
Well, it's a tremendous pleasure to have you here. How have you been marking the Muslim Festival of Sacrifice, Eid al-Adha?
Well, that has come and gone for Hausa people.
For Muslim people.
Oh, for Muslim people.
You're getting a bit ethnic on me there, aren't you? And we haven't even started.
Well. Sorry, because, you know, I'm carried. When people say Hausa, when they want to refer to Islam and they don't want to be identified as having
I like that. Okay, try and wriggle out of that one.
They say Hausa.
Right.
So that describes Islam as far as Nigerians are concerned.
Yeah, but you shouldn't be towing that line.
Because
you should be educating.
I'm neither Hausa Fulani, but I'm Muslim.
Okay.
As you know, this Eid had come at one of the most difficult times in the history of Nigeria. And I can assure you that less than 25% of those who are eligible to perform the religious function of slaughtering the ram were unable to do it.
So in that regard, how would you assess Nigeria in the context of that very special Muslim festival of Eid? Because obviously the festival is about sacrifice and love, but that doesn't seem to manifest very much in the politics of this country, does it?
No. Because the issues are self-inflicted. We are the architects of our own problem. I am beginning to be at a loss whether it is the leaders that I will blame or it is we, the masses, that I should blame. Because everybody, it seems, when given an opportunity, even those that you can vouch for to be good people, to be people who could perform, who could sympathize, who could work for the country, interest of the country, they become something else. And a typical example is General Buhari. I could have bet my life for him on certain issues.
Well, Buhari is part of the leadership. You wouldn't describe him as an ordinary Nigerian, would you?
That is why I said I'm at a loss. Whether I accuse the leadership or I accuse those of us who are masses. Because if some of us could actually collect a piece of Indomie and 200 naira to vote. So they beget what they bargained for. So you can't complain at all. I can complain because I didn't take, and things are not going the way I think they should go.
You must be a very disappointed man, because
extremely.
Because I mean, leader after leader, some you extol them and then they disappoint you.
Yes, correct. In fact, I almost came to the inevitable conclusion that I may never see the kind of Nigeria that I envisage for my children and grandchildren.
Well, I hope that does not come to pass, although I have to agree with you. It's looking worryingly that it might actually be the case. But let me ask you this. Are you still in the NNPP and in the political camp of Rabiu Kwankwaso?
Have you seen anything to suggest?
Well, I mean, you're a politician. Politicians shift like the wind, don't
No.
they? So I have to, and you have shifted a few times from one
I had
political camp
never,
to the
I
other.
had only shifted with the truth, what I consider to be the truth. That's the only time I shift. I have never shifted because of greener pastures or personal interest. And all my shifting has got to do with principles.
But you have shifted.
Of course.
Right.
Because if you are not interviewing me the way I expect you to do, I will walk out on you.
Well, hopefully not. But, I mean, the reason I ask you that is because you once said that there is something deeply rotten about Nigerian politicians. I mean, you didn't quite use those words, but that's what you sort of implied. And that rottenness makes them unworthy of the kind of support that you can give. And I wondered whether that sentiment has also affected your relationship with Mr. Kwankwaso.
Well, at least he has not exhibited those traits to make me feel disappointed or doubtful of his character, of his ability, and of his knowledge and experience in public life.
So far, so good.
Well, for now, yes.
And since we're talking about Rabiu Kwankwaso, let's turn to Kano State, which is the political stronghold of the NNPP, your party. Some would say the only political stronghold that it has. And into that, the relative tranquility of Kano State, Governor Abba Yusuf threw a hand grenade into the mix of Kano traditions by restoring Sanusi Lamido Sanusi to the throne. And some say it laid waste to that tranquility and has sown the seeds for volatility for years to come. What is your assessment of what is going on there?
You see, Mr. Charles, I'm one person that you can be safe to say you can always know where I stand.
Indeed.
On any issue. This issue, I have deliberately decided not to comment on it.
So you don't actually
for some
stand...
very personal reasons.
Right.
But there are two things I will say. I hope the nation knows that Abba Kabir Yusuf himself is entitled to be the emir of Kano.
That's the governor.
Yes. His grandfather was the emir. And his grandfather, his great-grandfather was an emir. And his father, as a prince, grandfather, Galadima Yusuf. He is Abba Kabir Yusuf. That Yusuf was the prince that revolted and removed the emir that was then appointed by the Sultan of Sokoto for Kano. He led the cavalry that removed that emir.
And what year was
So
that?
if history is anything to go by,
What year was
Abba
that?
Habir, about 70, 80 years ago,
Right.
if history is anything to go by, he is just at home with what he has done. He himself is entitled to be the emir. He could have appointed himself. That is one point I wanted to make. Secondly, you know, everything that is happening in Kano has got to do with politics. But in this politics that they do in Kano, one group has got an edge over the other in terms of propaganda, publicity, and federal support. And the federal support, they don't know that they can't do as they wish. It is not their province. It is not their province. They have nothing to do with chieftaincy title. They don't have. The other group has got an inherent constitutional responsibility to do what they are doing. So for me and you, we should wait and see. We are in a democracy. People should know that just simply because they didn't like the NNPP in Kano, we defeated them flat in 2011. They took it away from us by force. We were not prepared to face them then. We said, allow them. There will be time when we will have the strength to fight back. That time came up in 2023. We defeated them flat. They padded their votes. They padded the votes. They didn't get up to 20% of what they had announced for themselves. They used the INEP, they used the security forces to do that. Yet, they couldn't get the numbers to beat us, even where they cut off some of our figures. And I have said this on a program here. I hope you will remember. They went to tribunal. We thrashed them because they don't remember history. They went and seized the members of the tribunal, gave them a written judgment, which they read through Zoom. We let them. We appealed. At the Court of Appeal, they went and seized the judgment, wrote the judgment in their own language. The first one, they gave them a whole written judgment, which they read. They know that we know. In the second one, at the Court of Appeal, they wrote judgment, but they failed to rewrite the conclusions of that judgment. And because those judges were clever people, they allowed them to read what they gave them, including the conclusion. And the main body of the judgment gave APC judgment. But the conclusion, which they didn't change, gave us judgment and fined them. And because they were fools, they couldn't understand. So, we went to Supreme Court. Whether you know or you don't know, there was a revolt by the Supreme Court judges that they will never tamper with the judgment of Kano. I say this on record. They know we know. So, I have never seen in the world where there is a compromise in legal issue. So the compromise is that every governor, whether qualified or not qualified, if they should leave Kano, everybody should be left on his seat. Now, they came again through the other side on the issue of emir. If we have governor, they insisted they must have an emir. What has emir got to do with the politics? After all, there were 5 emirs, yet we won the election. I hope Nigerians are listening. There were 5. We won election. So if you install another one, just one, how could he defeat us?
Right, in any case.
That is not the issue, Charles.
Right.
I have to land.
Sure.
I want to tell federal government, including my friend, President Bola Tinubu, that he should be mindful of Kano politics. It will destroy his presidency. They never agree on any issue. I had an inherent knowledge of how we dealt with the politics of Kano during the MPN when I was the youth leader. They never agree. Each of them, for example, I know of very powerful people from Kano, including some rich men who came to meet the president and tell him that they should remove Abba Kabir Yusuf, nothing will happen. And the man I know, Tinubu, should have been smarter than what he is by telling them that, fine, nothing will happen. How did it happen that you didn't win election in the first place?
So you're making some very interesting points there. How do you think Kano politics might destroy President Tinubu's presidency?
If Boko Haram can hold the Nigerian nation, Nigerian military, security agencies to ransom for the last how many years? 12, 13, 14?
Yeah, since at least 2009. Possibly earlier than that.
They should be careful with us. We've come of age in Kano.
That sounds
I don't want to say much.
That sounds like a bit of a threat.
I'm not threatening anybody.
Okay. So let's just finish with Kano and the Emir tussle there. How much political and legal dust is all that raising and likely to raise? Because the police were forced, for example, to cancel the Durbar this year.
They cannot.
Because of fears.
I said they cannot. They have no legal authority to do that. The governor is the chief security officer of Kano. Right. If he says there will be Durbar, even if the whole of Kano will finish, we will hold the Durbar tomorrow.
Yeah, but the fear, I mean, the governor obviously doesn't want a clash between rivals.
Which governor?
Well, Governor Yusuf.
He should fight for his own life. If today the police say don't and he doesn't do that, he's out. Nobody will listen to him again. I will advise him to do the Durbar. Let anything happen.
Well, I think they've already cancelled it.
No, they didn't cancel. The emir rode on a horseback yesterday.
Yeah, he rode on a horse, but the actual
what is Durbar?
Event itself.
What is Durbar?
Well, I've been to the Durbar.
What is it called?
What do the people do? Well, it's horses, isn't it? It's the charge of the horses.
It's okay.
But just because the emir rode on a horse doesn't mean that the festival took place.
I say we will do everything, the festivities, we will do. And the governor cannot back out, even if he's going to lose his life.
But do you think, because you're a political, in addition to being a politician and a member of the NPP, you're a political analyst. You know more about Nigerian politics and the innuendos and nuances than most people. I mean, do you see this move by Governor Abba Yusuf to reinstate Sanusi Lamido as the right move, or is it the start?
I don't want to go into.
Is it the start? Let me just ask the question.
Don't even waste your words.
Well, let me ask the question: is it the start of a political back and forth which could go the other way if the current governor is no longer in power? For example, in 3 years' time, another governor comes in and changes everything.
You said if he's not in power. I don't want to comment. When Sanusi was removed, who removed him?
Well, the previous governor.
So for what? For what reason?
Well, it doesn't matter what the reason is. The governor removed him, and then someone else, this new governor came and reinstated him.
Does Abba Yusuf have the powers that Ganduje had as governor?
Yes.
And Ganduje would be able to remove an emir for the whole of Kano. One entity, he removed him, like removing a chicken feather.
Yeah, but another governor could come in and do the same thing, couldn't he? If Abba Yusuf is no longer the governor in 3 years' time.
Abba Yusuf is doing this maybe because he's a governor. So why don't they wait until another governor comes in?
Okay, well, let's move away from that, because we're obviously not going to go anywhere with that. Let's turn to democracy in Nigeria, which you know something about. I mean, you've been in politics for many years. Democracy in Nigeria after 25 years. Was there a big sense of occasion for you as Nigeria marked 25 years of unbroken democracy last week or not?
I am highly elated that we can sustain democracy with all the imperfections in it for unbroken 25 years. But don't be carried away. Do what is right. Live by the tenets of democracy. If you are carried away because it was there for 25 years, the water will submerge you. So let's be on the guard. Thank God, 25 years. We need another 250 years, as the Americans can claim. But we have to be doing what is right.
Right. So
people must vote. Their votes must count.
I'm going to come to that in a minute, but are people freer now under democracy than they were before democracy? That includes things like individual freedoms, civil liberties, freedom of the press, and all the rest of it.
Well,
I'm just kind of taking it systematically.
I thought you brought me here because you thought I can say my mind.
Yeah, of course.
Am I not doing that?
Well, I'm asking you.
No, yeah. Am I doing that?
Well, you are, to some extent, yes.
So that's your answer.
Well, I mean, you didn't answer all the questions.
I did.
Did you?
Whether there is freedom. At least I say what I want to say.
Right. So do you think that there is freedom, greater freedom for the individual?
Better than the military regime. We have there is no absolute freedom anywhere. In anything.
Yeah, obviously.
Even
but the degree of freedom is what we're talking about.
Yes.
In a comparative sense.
Yes, fair.
So it is freer.
Fair.
Right. And should we be further up the totem pole after 25 years of democracy? I mean, should we be higher than where we are? Are we proceeding at the right pace?
We are not yet even 30% of where we are supposed to be. If you look at Malaysia, Indonesia, India, Brazil, and a host of other countries that we started together, and even those that started after us, we are nowhere comparatively to some of those countries. So we are still way, way back because we haven't gotten the kind of leaders that I personally would be looking at. Once, a lot of people asked me certain questions. That, one leader is nepotic, this and that and that. But here, in this studio, I was on record to have said that Obasanjo was going. If Iyabo Obasanjo is the best person that can lift Nigeria up, I would vote for her. That is why when you are talking about ethnicity and religion about me, I just laughed. I am not in that class. I don't talk about religion. I don't talk about ethnicity because you don't even know what is my tribe. I have told you before that before my father and mother died, none of them spoke one word of Hausa, let alone Fulani. But because we don't know each other in Nigeria, I'm looked at, Buba should be a Fulani man. Buba should be a Hausa man because he's a Muslim. As far as in this country, we don't respect each other. And we carry primordial issues on our head. And we educate our children to hate the other person. We will never be the country that we ought to be.
I think you make that's a good point you make there. Do you have a sense of disappointment, though, about the dividends of democracy, which clearly have not manifested themselves evidently in this country?
You asked me, and I said we are only about 30% of where we are supposed to be, which means I'm not satisfied with the phase or with the level where we are. We could do better, but we can't do better if we talk about ourselves. We must be talking about the people. We must be talking about the country. Nationalism. Now, if I were the president of this country, and anybody comes on newspaper or social media and talk to me about Igbo, Hausa, Fulani, or Yoruba, I'll just send him to detention. Have you seen how Rwanda has developed? When they don't talk about religion, they don't talk about ethnicity, are they not better than us? Be honest. If I am the president of this country, you can't talk to me about that. Or I can't go to, like, my friend went to mile 9 and he urinated among several people. They caught him because he was wearing a babaliga and asked him, why did he urinate here? Is that his, let him smell the land. He was fined. I have the receipt for urinating outside. Now, everywhere I go to in Nigeria, the Constitution said I am free to be resident, I'm free to do business, I'm free to move about, I'm free to own property. Is that what is happening all over the country? Because we don't have strong leaders. That is why, and some people are talking about state police. State what? State police. And some people are talking about regionalism. Do they know the history of why the state police was abolished? If they know, anybody that talks to you about state police, tell him that that is an enemy of Nigeria because he wants to divide the country, he wants to kill democracy. Because with state police, there will be no democracy. Just imagine a Jonah Jang as governor of Plateau with state police. Or just imagine that Fubara has a state police and let Wike attempt to go into rivers.
Some would say it should be the other way around, actually.
So,
when you're talking about rivers.
Look, well, it's okay, whichever way. You can know that these people here in the National Assembly, they should be careful not to play with the fire. They want to disintegrate this country by playing with things like that. Regionalism. Do you know that even at the constitutional review now, there are over 100 people looking for states? So if regionalism is popular, why did they start breaking the country itself at first? Up to now, some people believe that they have been sidelined in their own states. They cannot be what they want. So they are talking about non-issues, divisive issues. Right. We have to be extremely careful. Whether I am alive, Charles, or I'm dead, if there is a state police, let me tell you that the military will come back.
I think you've made that point. So let's talk about solutions now. You've talked about a lot of problems, including where we are in terms of democracy and all the rest of it. What do you think of all this talk of a mega merger of opposition parties to take on the APC in 2027? And I understand that your party, the NNPP, is one of the parties in consideration for that mega merger.
We are the most beautiful bride. There is no party in Nigeria that does not talk to us, or individual, whether they accept or they don't accept. But let me assure you, we are an independent, self-sustaining, strong, standing political party that we believe we can talk to anybody, we can align with anybody, because you wouldn't know what is alliance. If APC comes to us and says, look, Kwankwaso is the best material to be president, so we will vote for you. If you are the one, would we reject it?
So it's only if your candidate becomes the presidential candidate.
Because you have to compare which one of them is better. And I believe, and a lot of people now believe, with the benefit of hindsight, all those who took Indomie and took 200 naira now believe and know that they could have done otherwise in many places.
But it doesn't mean they would have voted for Kwankwaso.
Why? Do you know how many of our votes were suppressed when we did our investigation? Do you know?
I don't, I'm afraid.
Thank you.
But I know you will tell me imminently, won't you?
Don't worry.
I'm not worried, actually.
We are very much around, and we are open and can talk to any political party.
Right. But have you been talking to people about mergers?
Yes and no. Informally, yes.
Right.
Formally, no.
Okay. Well, let's turn to, astonishing as this may seem, we are fast running out of time, as always. I'm serious. We've been talking for quite some time now. Let's turn to your assessment of President Tinubu's first year in office. Some have argued that 1 year is too short to make a proper assessment of his time in office and that he needs more time. Others say that when Murtala Mohammed became head of state, he achieved a great deal in 6 months, which could be demonstrably measured. Where do you stand on Mr. Tinubu's 1 year in office? How would you summarize the past, well, now 13 months?
In the first place, the comparison is wrong. Murtala ruled with the Chris.
Yeah, he's a military dictator.
And whatever he says, nobody could argue. I assume that if we are doing democracy, people must differ. And an issue that can be sorted out in the military in 5 minutes will take 5 months.
Yeah, but the president has access to executive orders, which he can use to achieve a lot of things.
Executive orders, which means he's a dictator.
No, that's a constitutional entitlement.
No,
he can do a lot of things.
It's only the National Assembly that has got that kind of power.
No, the president has the power.
He doesn't have
to use the executive orders.
It's because we have no assembly. We have no legislators. We have businessmen. We have no legislators. So, and I elected not to say much on Tinubu's government. And I have mentioned that until after 2 years. But I will ask one question. What did Tinubu, before becoming president, what did he promise he will do for you?
Well, I'm asking you the questions. What did he promise he would do for you?
You are the representative of the people. You are the press.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying. Yeah, but you're also a politician, and ostensibly you're looking for representation for the people, aren't you? So I'm asking the question.
It's okay. Let me answer you.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, unless you show me any paper that the APC has promised to do this, look at it in writing. I wouldn't hold the Tinubu responsible for anything. And you called him severally for public debate. Did he show up?
No, he didn't.
And the man was elected president. Was he? Was he elected
According
president?
to INEC, he was, yes. To the Electoral Commission.
It's okay.
The Electoral Commission declared him the winner.
If INEC says Charles Aniagolu is the president, and we keep quiet, did we consent?
You could make that point, yes.
At least we consented. He didn't promise you anything. You can't hold him on to anything that he said publicly. So the man is free to do what he likes. But you also have a date with history. 2027 is coming. He himself said, if I don't do this, that, vote me out. So why don't you start preparing?
Yeah, but you just said that we can't hold him down.
Because he didn't say anything.
Yeah, but you just said he did say if he doesn't do.
Is there any paper? any manifesto or any blueprint by APC?
Well, there was a manifesto. I expect you're saying all this tongue in cheek, though, aren't you?
Look, the man is free to do what he wants. I support him. I support him. I keep on saying I support him. Because this is the only way to teach Nigerians some sense. Next time, when you are voting, you will think twice. Or when you are thinking of some ethnic coloration on anything, or about religion.
Right.
Then you should think twice.
Well, the point has been made, and we're almost out of time, but the point has been made that the issue here is not whether people voted or how they voted, whether they're mega parties, merging parties, new parties, or whatever. No matter how ideologically sound, that is not the answer. That the solution is root and branch reform of the Electoral Commission, INEC. Because it doesn't matter how good and moral the new political party is. I mean, you've been making arguments about your own party. If the capture of INEC continues to prevail, then you'll never have free and fair elections, and good leaders will always be denied the opportunity to lead.
Charles, it looks like you are becoming senile.
Now, that's a strong thing to say.
I say it seems. I didn't say you are.
Yeah, but seems implies. So what's the point? What's the point you're trying to make? Because we're almost out of time.
The point I was going to make was that I have started by saying that I want to live and see that people vote and their votes count. That encompasses everything.
Yeah, but we wanted you to expand on that, which is why I asked you the question again.
That was my opening remark. So as far as now Mahmoud is going, Tinubu will bring somebody. I assure you that man may go and take oath at Okija, that shrine in Anambra, or is it Enugu? That he will do their bidding. I assure you that they will do that. But it doesn't matter to me whether he swallows the Quran or the Bible to do that. Me and you, when we stand up that things must be done right, they have no alternative. They can't kill all of us. And this election, in my village, they elect leaders. They don't need to cast a ballot. They don't need to cast a ballot. And you know that the man chosen is the choice of the people.
Right. Okay.
If this election, these people amending constitution, if they are not going to be selfish, there is an easy way out of it. What's this easy way? Let's hold all the elections in one day, so that everybody would be to himself and God for us all. And when you do accreditation, at the end, at the closure of the accreditation, let INEC, before counting the votes, announce to the world that 100,000 people have been accredited to vote in Anambra, 110,000 or 90,000 was accredited to vote in Yobe. Then we do the counting. Once there is one vote above 100,000, Anambra is cancelled.
Yeah.
It's because, like this issue of banditry, people have interest, they don't want to fight it. We will all sink with it if we are not careful.
Well, on that note, please come back and talk to us again. And it's all, you look horrified that I'm saying the time is over. But I want to thank you very much indeed. Always very, very robust. And you yourself are nowhere near senile. Your brain is as sharp as ever. Thank you very much indeed. Buba Galadima is a farmer, politician, NNPP chieftain, and member of the party's board of trustees. Great to see you again, and thank you ever so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Charles.
Good man.